it's time to talk about some SPSFC Round 2 entries. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is all about the SPSFC Round 2 and some of the books that are on my radar from this year. For those of you who don't know, the SPSFC is the self-published science fiction competition, kind of mirroring the SPFBO that Mark Lawrence runs, but for sci-fi. What was happening in SPFBO was that some of the sci-fi entries or the sci-fantasy entries that were going in were basically just being pushed to the side and not getting a whole lot of traction because it was a fantasy competition and sci-fi was not getting a lot of a look in. So Hugh Howey and Duncan Swan created the science fiction self-published competition. Those books would have a fair chance in amongst others within that genre. The competition came onto my radar late in its first run, and I've jumped in from the beginning of round 2. There are 12 books that I have here today that I'm very interested in reading. Being more of a fantasy reader, I don't tend to gravitate towards sci-fi, but I have learnt that there are quite a few sci-fi subgenres that I do enjoy. So I've got 12 books here today to run through. These are the books that are on my radar within this competition. First one I have is Mercuryville. This is by Tara Somerville. Subgenres are adventure, genetic engineering, and humorous weird. I do like a humorous / weird sci-fi. I could never get into Douglas Adams though. I don't know why, it just never worked for me. But I have liked this subgenre of sci-fi in the past. Mercuryville says, and if I'm looking down it's because the laptop is down there, I apologize. Mercuryville says, things were great in the desert. We ate pancakes, shopped at farmers markets, casually murdered, drank hot cocoa by the fire, dodged cannibals, sunbathed, decorated for Christmas, buried bodies, looked through old photo albums, and did minor home improvements. Then things took a weird turn. I love this cover. It's very simple, but I do like sitting by a fire in a rocking chair because I'm apparently 80, and that premise sounds pretty cool to me. So this one is definitely on my radar. Next up, I've got Shakedowners. This is by Justin Woolley, and this is another humor-filled spacey story. It says we've got adventure, humor, and space opera elements in there, and it says, some starship captains explore strange new worlds, seeking out new life and new civilizations. Some lead missions of discovery through wormholes to the other side of the galaxy. Then there's Captain Idris B. Franklin, someone who spent too long seeking out strange new bars and new alien cocktails. I mean, can you blame him? After graduating bottom of his class at the Space Command Academy, Idris Franklin hasn't had the glamorous career he envisioned. Instead, he hauls cargo ships full of mining waste, alien land whale dung, and artificially intelligent toy dogs across the stars. Idris does have talent though. He is exceptionally good at breaking starships. So when not hauling freight, he is captain of a shakedown crew, a skeleton crew used to test newly constructed ships for faults before the real crew takes over. While on a routine shakedown mission aboard the FSC Galloway, soon to be the pride of the Federation fleet, Earth is attacked by an unknown alien life form. With the galaxy in chaos, Captain Idris B. Franklin finds himself unqualified, understaffed, and completely unprepared in command of the most advanced starship in the galaxy. Now, he just needs to not break it. Sounds like it's going to be a wild time, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Next up on my radar is Eye of the Storm by R.K. King. This one has a cool cover where we've got some dusty vibes happening, and it says, a global superstorm, a stranger with a message, a quest for truth, they're in for the fight of their lives. I don't need to know more than that. This one is a dystopia novel and is probably my favourite subgenre within the sci-fi sphere, and I'm really looking forward to giving this one a go. Next up, we have a cute and quirky novel, The Left Hand of Dog by C. Clarke. Escaping intergalactic kidnappers has never been quite so ridiculous. When Lem and her faithful dog Spock retreat from the city for a few days of hiking in the Algonquin, I pronounced that wrong, park, the last thing they expect is to be kidnapped by aliens. No, scratch that. The last thing they expect is to be kidnapped by a bunch of strangely adorable intergalactic bounty hunters aboard a ship called the Teapot. After Lem falls in with an unlikely group of aliens, including a talking horse, a sarcastic robot, an overly anxious giant parrot, and a cloud of sentient glitter gas, the gang must devise a cunning plan to escape their captors and make it back to home safely. Does that not sound like fun? We've got some LGBTQIA+ elements in this one, a subgenre called agri-punk, I've got no idea what that is, hope punk, solar punk, and it's humorous and space exploration. I'm gonna give this one a go. It sounds like a lot of fun. On a more serious note, I've got Bloodlines. This is book 1 of the Empire City series by Peter Hartog. Now, I'm not sure if this was entered last year or if it is in here for 2022, but this one has been on my radar for a long time. I've actually owned it on my Kindle and the sequel for a very long time. Those dark and terrible things from your nightmares are very real. They walk among us, masquerading as your neighbor, your lover, even your friend. You see, Empire City is full of them, if you only know where to look. How do I know this? Well, for starters, the name is Detective Tom Holliday. I work homicide for special crimes. My friends, what few I have, call me Doc. And the other reason? I've got magic of my own. Welcome to Empire City, where magic and technology coexist and humanity endures behind a wall of stone and spell-forged steel. A place where danger lurks around every street corner and anything is possible. We've got alternate history, we've got parallel universe, crime and mystery, cyberpunk, dystopia, and fantasy, as well as being part of a techno thriller. What is there not to like in that category of subgenres? I'm looking forward to this one, but it is a little bit more serious than my first few picks. We have one I've chose purely for the cover, and then I read the blurb and it seemed pretty cool. This is The Boy Who Walked Too Far by Dom Watson. Look at that cover. Is that not glorious? For eons we'd swam in the dream sea, our nighttime thoughts observed, scrutinized. An intelligence had formed within that endless sea. It whispered to us of a fabled land of enlightenment, beckoning. On our last outpost in creation, the remnants of the universe gather and wait out the inevitable darkness. The construct houses the holy and the sinners of ages. Here at the end of everything, even murder is not outdated. Dispatched by the Pope of Numbers to investigate it, the mapper, I can't pronounce this word, Hieronymus Zindi, one of a select few who can fuse reality and dream together, and his trusty confidant Solomon Doomfinger take up the case of a man ripped to shreds by another's dream. Oh, I do love dream horror. That sounds really cool. It is a case that will define or break them. The city of Testament stands on the abyss of an invisible war, and at its center a force like no other. Here among sulking gods, wingless angels, and krakens, Zindi will face his own history and a future only predetermined by the power of friendship. Walk with him. Some of the subgenres listed for this one is artificial intelligence, cosmic horror, fantasy, genetic engineering, hard sci-fi, horror itself, metaphysical and visionary, and space fantasy. I am sold. I'm so sold. Next one on my radar is Release Day. This is by Ryan Matthews. Earth's surface is no longer ours. Humans thought they were safe underground where the invading arthropods couldn't reach them. After centuries of occupation, the antiquated subterranean cities had deteriorated and they exhausted their supplies. Making matters worse, the hostile invaders have destroyed one of the 10 remaining cities. Now Huck, Aridin, and Hemet are in the race to destroy the arthropod hive before the inverts completely annihilate humanity. But before the candidates can begin, they must survive their corrupt government's population control schemes, a highly fatal barbaric event known as Release Day. To accomplish their mission, they must enlist help of a group of dubious transporters to trek across the planet through numerous biomes, infinite swarms of arthropods, and deranged surface-dwelling humans on their perilous mission to recover a war-ending device and carry it to the creature's hive. This one sounds very sort of Lord of the Flies cross Hunger Games, and I'm all here for it. Moving on, we've got Edge of Breach. This is by Halo Scott. This one's been on my radar for a little while now. We've got another one with some horror elements, some LGBTQIA+ elements, and a dystopian fantasy feel. It says, we all become monsters at the edge of the breach in a post-apocalyptic world where season of birth determines power. Spring healers, summer mages, fall shapeshifters, and winter shields. A man and woman emerge from tragic childhoods to lead humanity on opposite sides of an inter-realm war. I do enjoy a horrific sci fantasy, and this one sounds like it's right up my alley. Moving on, we have All Is Silence. This is by Robert L. Slater. What if death forgot you? A bat virus brought the world to its knees. At 17, had it worse than most. Will she give up? She barely remembers her father and needs to forget her mother's loser boyfriends. Surviving an apocalypse could push anyone to the unthinkable. Lizzie's shotgun is loaded. Then she meets Spike, a survivor with a dog collar. Uncommunicative, hungry, she drops her food and runs. She sees him again and leaves food, then finds Zach, a friend from school. When Zach leaves to pick up another friend, she nearly runs over a schoolmate who invites himself over and drinks her crap beer. Things go to hell. A man dies. Did she mean to pull the trigger? His brother shows up, finds the body, and embeds a hunting knife in her door. Lizzie opens it. He shoves his way in, and Spike saves her, but her mother's keepsake box is crushed in the fight. A name and a phone number peek out from the wrapping paper like a beacon. Could a stranger she thought was dead still be alive? She has to find out. This one says it is a post-apocalyptic coming-of-age story with a road trip adventure. And the blurb on the front of the book just says, "I hope you all die," she said. And they did. This is the Deserted Lands Book 1. Next up we have Into Neon. This is a cyberpunk saga by Matthew R. Goodwin. I have not branched out a whole lot into cyberpunk myself. The first one I read was Arvect by Craig Lee Gordon earlier this year, and I had a pretty good time. Some of the technology did take my brain a little bit to sort of switch onto, but I am interested in reading something else in this genre, so this one caught my eye. When a corporate lackey has the rug pulled out from under his illusions, will his hidden fire flicker or ignite a rebellion? Orphaned and alone, Moss is happy to have found a place in the world, but his humdrum working routine takes a terrifying turn when a mysterious woman breaks into his apartment and hands him a data chip from his dead parents. Suddenly, hearing messages revealing his benevolent employer has a far darker side, he braves the dangerous megacity streets in search of the truth. Sounds pretty cool to me. This one is definitely just in that cyberpunk genre, which means it probably has some cool tech happening along the way. 2 more to go. Number 11 is The Last Nehisi by Warwick Eldon. I may have pronounced that title wrong, and I apologize. This one says, war, corruption, a dying empire, and the only means of escape wiped out in genocide. For millennia, Aragonians have prospered beyond imagination, aided by the Nehisi, an ancient tribe with the ability to bridge worlds, but now tides have turned. The realm is dying. In the face of imminent destruction, Supreme Commander Draga must find a way to save his people. As the prophecy of doom plays out, a chance encounter with a thief sparks the beginnings of a cat and mouse game between Commander and Crook in a world of political and moral dilemmas, corruption and murder. And the revelation that the fate of billions could depend on the actions of a single amoral thief. This one has adventure, colonization, space fantasy, and space opera. The last one that I have was another one where the cover has caught my eye, and this is the Pancera Genesis by Anna Ellis, and again, if I pronounce that wrong, I apologize, should the author ever watch this. This one says, Marilla Stafford's life has just hit rock bottom. Her boss, the CEO of Pancera Corp, created a digital clone of himself, demoted Mariella, gave the clone her job, and told Mariella to train it. That's rough. And now the clone wants her to help it kill the CEO. I do love a bit of a clone story. In 2115, embedded chips, virtual reality, and the threat of extreme weather have led to a market for businesses that keep a person's body alive in a habitation pod while the person lives entirely in the metaverse. But not everyone embraces technological advances. A group of people have adopted the tech of 2005 while isolating themselves from the temptation of advanced technology. Pancera Corp, the world's most powerful corporation, connects both worlds through providing the metaverse, the pod warehouses, and the land to technology resistors. This one says it is an Earth opera tale as opposed to a space opera tale, with all the drama, expansiveness, and a varied cast of a space opera. It also says this one is for people who have felt out of control with the technology in their lives, which is me. I do not understand what is happening and where the future is headed when it comes to technology, so I'm going to read about it and get scared. This one also has adventure and dystopian elements. Those are the 12 books from the SPSFC round 2. Maybe there's one of them that was in round 1 that I've carried over that I'm interested in. Do you like the sound of any of these? Let me know what you are interested in from the competition down below in those comments. If you like the content, give it one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I'll catch you in the next video. Ciao.